All right, good morning, everybody. We had a ton of data come out this morning. Let me pull that up really quick. GDP 4.4 over 4.3, better than expected. Unemployment lower than expected, 200 over 209. GDP price index 3.8, exactly as expected. We have PCE data at 10 o'clock and a bunch of smaller data coming out at 10 o'clock as well, so watch out for that. Last night we had a trade plan holding above or below 906. Obviously we held above. Had a little bit of a gap. It did get filled in. Pushing into another gap, the gap from Friday, going back to 77. The trade plan is still pretty much the same. It is a bit of a weird trade plan because that 906 level is pretty far away, but I don't like using the active levels, the ones that are moving around. I like using those closed levels. There's not really any way that we can make this a closer trade plan. That is still pretty much the best level that we can use. So we're going to keep the trade plan the same, even though it is pretty far away. So staying above that level, we're just going to eventually look for that gap and possibly higher value. If it stays below that level, then obviously we're looking for a very large value retrace. As far as the shape, I would argue that it's a P shape or a capital B. Probably a P shape is more accurate because when it opens, it's going to shift a lot of volume to that higher node. Okay, same story with NASDAQ, but we have already filled in the gap. So next target would be, let's go ahead and raise our targets here. Next target would be 781, and then above that we have 945, so pretty far away. Same thing here. The trade plan levels are far away, but there's not really a better level that we can pull that to. Pretty nasty sell-off on NASDAQ on the open here. Possibly looking for that VWAP. Keep an eye on VWAP at 640. Very strange open here. NASDAQ is still pushing down. ES is getting a massive amount of bullish delta pushing us up here. Very unusual. Still failing that breakout here. That block trade buyer is back. It was actually a seller for a while. Maybe the same person, hard to tell. The one that was trading around the 520s almost every single time they put in a block trade. It was around that like 520 to 550. We're seeing that again, 524, 540, 20, 500. Not sure if it's the same person, but possibly. We do have some major data coming out at 10 o'clock, so watch out if you guys are leaving trades open until then. Keep it on VWAP coming up at 6:43. Here's VWAP on NQ, dragging you down. It's not an extremely one-directional pre-market, so you don't really have that like high chance of the overnight fade, but you have a little bit of one direction from like here to here. So we could have a bit of an overnight fade pushing back down. But like I said, it's not extremely one-sided. If you have like a very one-directional overnight, then it's pretty easy to see that reversal. This was more of a kind of a gap fill. It was actually like a double gap fill because you filled the gap on the downside and then you filled the gap on the upside. Here's that VWAP on NQ, giving you a little bit of buy pressure, not too much. Good morning, everyone. Tachi, Scott, Ram. Good morning, Scott. Morris, Jose, Lubomir, Banana, Roger, Larry, Brian, Vanquish, Darius. Let me pin the trade plan for you guys. There you go. Titus, Constantine, Tamer, Julio, Leo, Fernando. If ES keeps falling, keep an eye on VWAP down to 44. You want a pot, Roman? Jade, Mr. B, Greg, Trevor. Want a boat? Floor, Ike, eBay, Adam. Good morning, Ken. Good morning, Igor. Good morning, Fable. Orion, Lucio, Future, Ronaldo, and Maverick. Appreciate you guys being here. Good morning. A lot of buyers at 58, 59 here. Bouncing off that VWAP on NQ. You've already filled that major gap on NQ, so you don't really have that magnet pushing you higher, possibly why we're seeing such a difference in price action here. You still have that magnet pulling you up on ES, but you don't have it on NQ. Now, either way, you still want them to close up here, because if they close with a wick, if there's a wick that fills in the gap, it's typically filled in again later on. So you typically want this to be a full-bodied candle that fills in that gap. We haven't had too many recently, so I can't really show you an example. Kind of like here, we tried to fill it in with a couple of wicks and it shot down anyway. Same thing here, filled this in with a wick, another wick, and then shot down anyway. So they don't really care about the wicks filling in the gap. It's typically a large candle. So you want to see the same thing here. You want to see a large candle filling that in. Coming up on that gap right now, look for 77. So reminder, at 10 o'clock we have not only a bunch of data from today, but we also have October data because of the shutdown. It's coming out a little bit delayed. We have PCE, personal income, personal spending, for both now and October. Let's check the stocks because the market is looking very different today on the indexes. So those winners that have been popping off recently, having a little bit of a pullback. Micron, AMD, Intel. SanDisk also down. Oracle's up. I think they finalized the deal with Oracle for the US portion of TikTok. That's been an ongoing thing for a long time. I think that's finally starting to happen. Nasty sell-off here. Keep an eye on VWAP 45. I don't see a headline for that just massive dump right there. I think it was just a block trade. Pretty big block trade, 1,400 contracts, which can move the market pretty easily right now because the liquidity is not very good. Possibly a lot of people waiting on the 10 o'clock data. Come on, Maverick Estevan. Very weak sell pressure down here. You saw that block trade, but you don't see any nodes building up. Come on, music. Losing VWAP on ES, but on NASDAQ, but you're still testing it on ES. Still not building a node yet. They're still finding an area that they like. Yeah, trading via VWAP's fine, as long as it's being pulled from the proper candles, like the New York Open and the full session open. It's really hard for platforms to mess up VWAP. VWAP's very simple. Still looking for value here. NASDAQ could be looking for that overnight low if it keeps going. Around 4,800. 12 minutes left until that data comes out. We did have an afternoon break yesterday that possibly could be pulling us down a little bit here. It was mostly repaired. You saw the afternoon break here, then you saw a really good repair into the close, but then we pushed up a little bit and we kind of gapped up here. There's a little bit of a break there, but it mostly repaired itself. Still looking for value, hasn't found what it likes yet. You can tell because there's no nodes trading here. It's just looking for value, pushing right through. That was a complete loss of VWAP. First time around, you had a bounce, and then it stayed below that ADMA. Very small node building up at 36 here. "10 minutes before that data comes out, liquidity is pretty low. People are waiting on it, which is allowing this to move so easily. Oh, sorry, I was muted. A little bit of a bear flag in the VWAP here, but be careful, that data is coming out in less than 5 minutes. That prior low is already being taken out here. Very quick move from VWAP. All right, about 1 minute, and we have that data coming out. We have some old data from October, and then we have the newer data as well. Possibly shifting the POC to this lower node. You can see the liquidity is completely gone waiting on that data. All right, here we go. Just waiting on it to update. I just got a message from my internet provider saying they're having issues in the area. So if I disappear, it's probably because my internet is gone. That's fantastic. All right, let's see. Core PCE 0.2 as expected. Personal income 0.3, expecting 0.4. Personal spending 0.5 as expected. Still not seeing the October data. Very bottom heavy candle so far, building up a massive node with the delta on that low of the candle. They need to stay below 32. This is that afternoon break being repaired and possibly the overnight low. And this is kind of why I left my trade plan level the way, where it was at 906. Because there's not really a whole lot in between. You basically just have the overnight low there and that's it. ADMA still being protected, 5-minute highs still being protected. I don't think you've lost a 5-minute high so far today. Trying to sweep the low here. The pretty bottom heavy candle, if they stay above 32, decent amount of sellers getting stuck down here. They're still very slow to release the October data. I think it's technically November data, but it says October on here. Personal income 0.1 for the old data. Still waiting on the PCE. This is a pretty scary chart to start going down because you don't really have a whole lot below you. Like this massive push up here You built a little bit of value around the 15 to 30 area. But once you lose that 15, this can go down pretty quickly. Retracing all this old value here, which is basically no value. You can see most of the area that they were fighting over is way down here. Around like 850. Protecting this lower node, still very bottom heavy here. So keep an eye on this lower node here. Very bottom heavy candle. They need to stay below, I'd say like 31, 32. 5-minute high is still being protected. Keep an eye on that 906 level. There's not really anything before that except for the overnight low. You can watch the low. Okay, here's that older data. The old data, 0.2% for the PCE, and then the personal spending is 0.5. EOC shifting down to the low there. Starting to lose that 30-minute trail, which does not look very good. That Momo's coming down a little bit as well, losing that pivot on the high as well. They really need to find buyers soon or it's going to get pretty bad. Still holding below that 1-minute trail as well. Trying to put in a 5-minute pivot. There's an old pivot at 20 as well. Still have that 1-hour trail support. That's around 921. He did have a bear div on the 1 hour. Kind of pulling you down here. You have reclaimed that daily trail. So daily trail at 921. Big support there. A very strange POC, almost the low a day. You are trying to hold above that lower node, though. It needs to hold above 32. Possibly pulling back to the 24 EMA, maybe VWAP. Anything else on the calendar today? Let me see. That is it for today. Reclaiming that lower node here. Breaking the 24 possibly, keep it on VWAP. Not finding too much buy pressure up here just yet. Not a good way to react to that gap fill. If it continues to wick this gap fill and push down for the day, we're probably going to come right back over the next few days, possibly next week. It's a really sloppy trend recently. We're seeing the low liquidity. You see how easily it's pushing in either direction? A lot of low liquidity, not really holding it. Not any sticky price action. Has more of a capital B structure now. Big node on the top, big node on the bottom. And then you have an LVN in between. Got to see how it respects VWAP. Keep an eye on VWAP here. Retest at 42 and then 611. Reclaiming the lower node, which is also a sweep. Okay, here is the retest of VWAP. It's not offering too much here. The conservative target is only like 5 points away. And then the aggressive target is maybe 10 to 15 away. So somewhere in the middle, about 10 points. We'll see if it can hold on to VWAP. A very quick reaction, basically already hitting the middle of that zone. We'll see if it gives you a new low here. Failing VWAP to the exact tick. Both on ES and NASDAQ. Funny enough, on ES, you hit both VWAPs simultaneously. They're the same level. But NASDAQ, you did not hit the session VWAP. You only hit the daily. That trade is pretty much instantly over here. We'll see if it can stay below these 5-minute highs and continue lower. Yeah, there's many things that could be wrong with volume profile, so I can't really help you there. You just got to play with the settings. There's just so many variables that could be giving you the wrong levels. Not protecting those highs so far. Technically, the 5-minute high is way up here, but these highs right here are not being protected. They really like this lower node. The buyers are protecting it immediately on that retest. You would think with a bounce that quickly, it would be trading above VWAP here, possibly a trap or possibly kind of the cupping pattern above VWAP. We'll see if we can get above it. It's not usually going to bounce that quickly and then fail VWAP, but we'll see. All right, here's that second attempt to get through VWAP here. EMA is acting like support, kind of pushing you through it. Still finding some sellers on VWAP here, but it's mostly rotating. You see how they're rotating this node here? Just back and forth. Bitcoin having a pretty bad day, down 1.5%. Gold is up 1.25%. This is that 30-minute trail that I talked about earlier. He reclaimed it, and now we have a little wick of that 38 level. Yeah, the trade plan levels are based on the full session closes. I don't use any of the active levels that are moving around. This is what I said earlier about how the bounce was so quick. You're most likely going to break through VWAP. Could have a cupping trap, so keep an eye on that. Or it kind of cups back downward. But so far, no traps here. Looks pretty good. Here's that full session, or sorry, the cash session rotation. The full session rotation is a little bit higher. Back to 680. And on ES, that would be 952. Bouncing off that value low damn near perfectly. Yeah, if your levels are off, you either didn't match my settings properly from the video, or you just have like different data or something like that. Building a node at 47. 47 node is so far being protected by the sellers. No, it's the same data I use. I use the CME data. I just showed all my settings on stream. You can go back and look at them. I believe I show all those settings in the volume profile video as well on the Apex. What is it, the fourth video? I think it's the fourth one. Pretty much like none of the settings actually determine where the value area is, except for that one setting, that one where it's like what percentage of value area you want. And mine is set to 70. Everything else is basically just personal color preference and stuff like that. Keep an eye on these 5-minute lows and the EMAs. EMAs pushing you higher here. You are still just rotating this node. Needs to hold above 47. And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier with the liquidity problem. You're not sticking to levels for very long. It's very quickly moving from level to level to level. You're not building these like massive nodes like we were the last couple of months. Upper node being protected by the seller is still just rotating. It's basically a value area right here from like 42 to 47. Little 5-point rotation. Five-minute lows still being protected. Here's that upper rotation. They finished the rotation of that node going into 47. Liquidity is getting better. Trading about 50 to 60 contracts per tick, not too bad. Do I share this workspace? It's on Discord. If you're in Discord, if you're not a Discord member, then it is on the order flow video in the Apex series. I go over most of my major settings. Still holding that ADMA, pushing away from this upper node, or at least trying to. You're kind of treating this like a capital B, where you had a strong node on the high, strong node on the bottom. You did have an LVN in between, but they're doing a really good job filling that value in as they're pushing back up. So watch for that retest of that upper node. The old POC was like 53 to 60. So we'll see. Would it be a D shape? It's kind of a capital B that's filling in. The full session would be kind of a D shape now because we filled in the middle. But before we filled in the middle, it was a capital B. It's like when you look at a capital B and then you have a D shape, how do you go from this to this? You have to fill in the middle. If it fills in the middle, it becomes a D shape. Elon is speaking at the economic forum, so he might make some statements about AI that might cause a little bit of volatility here, so be careful. Keep it on the pullback to VWAP here. It is holding VWAP so far. You're not seeing a ton of buy pressure off of it. A little bit better on NQ. More so the 24 on ES. The problem is recently, well, I talked about it in the recap video yesterday. Recently, we've been seeing the bear flags are pretty damn strong, but the bull flags in the VWAP haven't been the best. Even though the market is still pretty bullish overall. Yeah, it was a good rotation on the full session and the cash session. Back to the value high here. They're not finding too much above the value high. That's the problem. It's not exactly a favorite. I think the imbalance days are a bit easier. The capital P days or the lowercase b days, when there's like a very obvious imbalance, they're typically easier. It really just depends on how well the levels are being respected. Like today, the levels are pretty much spot on. Now, the problem with pullbacks like this is recently we've been seeing the bear flag and the VWAP be so strong that this kind of looks like a trap. Like it looks like a cupping trap that is good for the bear flag. But it also looks like a bull flag in the VWAP where it's kind of like going up and then pulling back in the VWAP. I don't know if I'd call this a bull flag in the VWAP too much because you're not really pushing too far away from it, but it's definitely a pullback into VWAP on the buy side, which is basically just semantics. It's kind of the same thing. But that's the problem, is you don't know if it's like a cupping trap. You have to see where that value is building up on VWAP, which is kind of bearish on NASDAQ right now. We have been rotating this node just over and over again. This is the low of the node, so if it wants to keep rotating, you'd have to buy this. They'd have to buy this lower portion, which so far they're struggling. They need to stay above that 45. Still holding VWAP, but you're still just rotating this node here. You can see the difference in the bullish reaction to VWAP and the bearish reaction to VWAP. Earlier, we tapped VWAP and then instantly finished the trade. This time, you're bouncing off it, but it's kind of chopping its way up. It's not very strong. Not even really bouncing on NQ. Starting to get a little top heavy, so the buyers are holding on to that 47 node. How's our volume today? It's not too bad. It's coming down pretty fast, though. Dropped from 130 to 85. Elon's talking about the SpaceX IPO, lining up Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and Morgan Stanley. That VWAP is actually causing a little bit of a failure to rotate here. Actually, the value area shifted, so now it's not a failure to rotate, funny enough. So now it's trying to rotate to 58. It was originally rotating to 52. Then it wanted to go back down. But then you bounced off VWAP. But now that our POC is VWAP, it wants to actually go higher, which is around 58, 59. On NASDAQ, you're still hovering around that gap, which is pretty good. We want to fill that gap in on the daily here. We don't want to see wicks on that gap. So one of the rare times where the bull flag in a VWAP or the pullback in a VWAP, whatever you want to call it, is actually working on the buy side. Holding on to VWAP to the tick at 42, which was mostly the failure to rotate. And here's that prior high on NASDAQ, prior high taken out on ES as well. Back to the open. The old POC was around 960, I believe it was. So keep an eye on that node. 5-minute lows being protected again. Yeah, it's a little weak up here. Not building a great node above that high at 52. The 5-minute lows and the EMAs are still being held, so no rollover just yet. Tail extension, you're not really looking for tail extensions today. There's no pattern for an extension. Facebook not doing too bad today. But this is that new value high around 58. You didn't quite get there. Stopped at 55. So far, clean bounce off that 30-minute trail. So not looking too bad right now on the higher time frames. You flipped green on Wednesday when you started pushing up on the open. And it has been holding it since. Pretty strong uptrend so far. You had a blue pivot on the bottom, damn near perfect bottom. Then you had the pivot on the high, led to a pretty strong pullback, but you broke it, so good on the uptrend. Same thing here. You had a pivot on the high, pulled back. Now we're trying to break it. The uptrend's still pretty stable. Same thing we saw on the way down with the blue pivots getting taken out by the sellers. Still holding that 24, still protecting the 5-minute lows. Watching the fights this weekend, yeah, if my power doesn't go out from the massive snowstorm, which would be horrendous, hopefully that doesn't happen. I think most of the snow is on Sunday, thankfully, and the fights are on Saturday. They're saying we're going to get like 25 to 30 inches of snow and a ton of ice. So if you don't see me on Monday, it's probably because my power's out. Hopefully not. We typically get one of these storms like every 2 to 4 years where I live. We get like small snowstorms every year, but every couple of years there's like a really big one. I keep seeing videos. They're like, "Oh, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. It's getting worse." Any NFL games affected? I'm not sure. When are there supposed to be games this Sunday? What is it, like the championship games? I have not been following this season whatsoever. I know the Super Bowl is on the 9th, I think it is, February 9th. Or February 8th, whatever that Sunday is. No backup generator? No, I don't really. Well, I say I don't need one. I don't really need one, but every couple of years I might need one, you know? You never need it till you need it, right? I went to the grocery store and like went to get gas and everything, make sure I got all that stuff sorted. And it's funny because like everyone just has the same idea, right? The gas station was like the most packed I've ever seen it. Grocery store was packed. I'm sure Costco was a nightmare. Hey, Gully, have a good day, man. We'll see you tomorrow. NFL's been very popular in Germany. That's cool. I always wondered how much like other countries actually like watching American sports. I know soccer or like actual football is um is popular worldwide. I think baseball does okay. I don't think hockey's that popular worldwide. I know fighting does well, like the UFC stuff. People watch that worldwide. Pretty top heavy now, starting to hold on to this upper node. You just stay above 52, you're going to start losing those 5-minute lows, possibly go back to VWAP if you lose that node. Yeah, actual football is definitely, I think it's the most popular sport worldwide. American football, not so much. That's Florida before every hurricane? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we don't get too many big storms here, but when we do, they're usually pretty bad. We don't get hurricanes like every year. We don't get tornadoes, earthquakes, all that stuff. We get like the tail end of hurricanes, like when they hit Florida, they go up the East Coast. We get like whatever's left. Typically winds and rain. Nothing too crazy. But every couple of years, we get a massive snowstorm. I used to shovel snow for a long time, actually, for like 10 years. For one of the government buildings up here. And one year, they had all the trucks piled. They usually pile it up in like the visitor parking lot because the building is massive. It's one of the national agencies. And they always pile up all the snow. And one year, the pile was like higher than the light poles. And the light poles were like, I don't even know, like 30 feet off the ground, something crazy, like giant ass light poles. And the snow was piled up past that. There was just so much snow from the building. I think that was the one that was like maybe 8 or 10 years ago. We got like, what, 4 feet of snow or something crazy. And Cali, yeah, you guys are okay on the West Coast. Well, yeah. The problem with the building we used to shovel at was it's one of those big government agencies, so they got a lot of barriers. They got all the bomb barriers, all that stuff. And they don't like any vehicles behind those barriers. They want you to shovel it. But the roads and stuff you could plow, obviously. Delta still pretty weak here. Keep an eye on that 24 EMA and those 5-minute lows. See if this trend comes to an end. All right, guys, we're going to start ending the stream here. We are at 78 likes. If you guys can get that above 100, we'll do another Apex account giveaway. If you guys are heading out before the giveaway, enjoy the rest of your day. I will be streaming tomorrow. If you guys are in Discord, I will also be streaming there for the rest of the day. Yesterday, I said it was the last day for the Apex sale, but I got my dates mixed up. It's actually today. So today's the last day for the 80% off and $35 resets. And remember, if you guys buy any of those accounts with our code, I'm going to start asking you for those next week. We're going to do our raffle that we did pretty much all last year, every month. We do a cash raffle and a Discord raffle. So just hold on to any receipts you use code BREW for. I'll start getting those on Monday, and then your final day to give them would be probably around Friday. Not this Friday, but next Friday. And then we'll start pulling our prizes that weekend. But how it works, if you guys didn't participate last year, is every 50K is one ticket. So 50K accounts, 100K accounts, 2 tickets, so on and so forth. And obviously, if you have multiple accounts, multiple tickets. And then the cash prizes are paid through PayPal. So if you win that, just make sure you have a PayPal. We typically do them in lots of $250. And then the Discord access is typically monthly or quarterly. Yeah, we'll probably do those almost every month this year. We'll see. We need a couple more likes if you guys want to do the giveaway. Just hit that like button if you haven't already. All right, thank you guys. We did break 100. I appreciate that. Okay, same as always. Just pick one number between 1 and 50. Just pick one number. If you pick multiple numbers, you are disqualified. I'll just delete your messages. How about 1 and 50? If there is a tie, I will do a tiebreaker. This is going to give you a code, which you basically use like a normal promo code, like the brew code. So you go sign up for any size account, and then just put this code in, and it will give you the account for free for 30 days. And then after that, it will start charging you normally. If you don't pass it within 30 days, just go ahead and go back to the brew code. Which, even if there's not a promotion going on, the brew code will always give you 50% off minimum. But usually they have promotions 70%, 80%. The current one they're doing right now is 80%. What time is it? I'll give you guys probably about a minute and a half, maybe. 1 through 50. 1 through 50. Make sure to have your email ready. I will have to confirm your email before I send the code. I just got another text that our internet is having issues, so if I disappear before the giveaway, I'll just do the giveaway during tomorrow's stream. But hopefully that doesn't happen. That'd be pretty bad luck. All right, I'm going to roll it in 30 seconds just in case my internet goes out. Do this pretty quick. Keep an eye on those 5-minute lows starting to get pressured here. If it stays below like 52, you might start coming back down to VWAP. Delta is very weak for the buyers up here. We did shift the POC back to this node. And they're kind of battling on that POC right now. All right, guys, good luck. Good luck. It is 15. If I miss your number, just let me know that you won, and I can double check your messages. I do see a 15, Charlie. Do we have multiple 15s? Let's see. Are you still here, Charlie? I think you're the only one. Let me know if I missed you, but I think Charlie is it. Okay, I see you, Charlie. I think you are the only winner. Yeah, I do not see anybody else. So going once, twice, 3 times. Anybody else? Did I miss anybody? Last chance. Okay, I think you're good, Charlie. I think it's just you. All right, let me give you my email here. Make sure I typed that right. Giveaway period dejabrutrading@gmail.com. That should be good. Go ahead and send me an email. Just let me know that you won the giveaway, what your YouTube name is, and I'll send you a random number and then type that in chat. And you are good to go. Do I have a video explaining my delta settings? It's the 5th video in the order flow, or sorry, the Apex series. Becoming an Apex trader, the 5th video is on order flow, and I talk about all my settings in that video at the end of the video. So I explain all the concepts and everything, and then at the end of the video, I cover all my major settings. And then also in my order flow playlist, my most recent videos in that playlist talk about my settings as well. But they might have changed a little bit from the videos. That's why I don't post my settings anywhere, like an actual template or anything except for Discord. Because I just change my settings so often, it would be a pain in the ass to constantly update. And the vast majority of my settings are just personal preference, like color settings. I don't really change a lot of settings that actually dictate how the indicator works. Mostly just personal preference. Yeah, you can find them on that Apex video. Let me check my email, Charlie. Let me see if he sent one. Okay, I got you. I'm going to send you a random number. Just type that number in chat so I can confirm it to you. And then I will send you a promo code. And you can just put that in like you would normally. But all right, guys, if you guys are heading out, I appreciate being here. I will be streaming tomorrow, same time as always. If you guys are in Discord, I'll see you guys there. Be on the lookout for this rotation back to the value high. It keeps pushing that value high a little bit higher. You've kind of already finished the rotation, and it wants to go back down. So right now, you could say that you're kind of failing to rotate. The sellers are not strong enough to hold below the 24, hold below the 5-minute lows, and you're kind of in a vertical distribution trying to push that value high. But it does look like it's losing a lot of delta here. So possibly coming to an end here. Might want to start rotating downwards. So keep an eye on that. Okay, I got you, Charlie. Be on the lookout, Charlie, for that promo code. No, Techie, like I said, it's the 5th video in the Becoming an Apex Trader series. There's a playlist. It should be the 5th video. It's the one on order flow. Should be Becoming an Apex Trader order flow, something like that, part 5. Something like that. But all right, guys, I'll see you in Discord. I appreciate you guys being here. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.